Welcome back to the Flex Diet Podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Mike Doehla. On this podcast, we talk about all things to increase muscle performance, improve body composition, do all of it in a flexible framework without destroying your health in the process. Today, we've got a fun program with a guy I always enjoy talking to. It's Mike Doehla. We're talking about what should trainers focus on in the future? So this one is a little bit more focused on if you are a trainer or are a coach. Mike, as you're probably familiar, sold Stronger You. So now he is just hanging out, retired early, playing pickleball. But we did talk about pickleball and pickleball community and competition. Then we also transitioned to talking more about coaching and just the different effects of communication. What are the importance of humanizing your brand, embracing different imperfections in your business, how to do the day-to-day things, what are some things you should do yourself, what are some other things maybe you should farm out, and how do you balance all of that? And then towards the end, we talked a little bit about the future of coaching and how does artificial intelligence, AI, relate to all of that. Again, always enjoy talking to Mike, always learn new things. It's always super open with sharing all the lessons and everything that he's learned. So he's learned by doing the work and putting in the reps. So it's always great to talk to him. Podcast sponsor today is brought to you by Tecton. If you're looking for an exogenous ketone drink, check them out. Like I said, for the last couple ones, we're still down here in South Padre, Texas, getting in some kiteboarding. And each time we go out to the area, which is typically called the flats here, there's a side where it's a little bit more of a bay on one side and then the ocean on the other side. So typically we're riding more in the area of the bay they call the flats. So I always bring out some Tecton out there, which has been super helpful. So check them out below. You can use the code Dr. Mike to save some money. As an FYI, shout out, I am a scientific advisor to them and an affiliate. So there is your conflict of interest. So without further ado, enjoy this fun podcast all about more of the coaching side with Mike Doehla. How are you doing?
I'm good. I was just playing pickleball instead of working out. So much more fun.
I heard you're like a huge pickleball convert now. We're already
Yeah, I love it,
recording,
man.
so
I play all the time, but I'm like the youngest guy because I play during like retired guy hours. So
but you are a retired guy.
yeah, I know, but I all my friends and all the younger people are at work when they play at 5 o'clock when I'm on like dad duty. So
Yeah.
yeah.
So how many pickleball shifts are you pulling now?
Practice plus play, maybe 3 to 5 times a week.
Oh, okay. That's
Yeah.
nice.
Getting my steps in. So I'm skipping a lot of my daily walks because I'm walking around the court. So
Nice.
yeah.
And what is the appeal with pickleball?
Dude,
I just like
it's
making fun of it. So
no, it's so
I think it's great that people do it, but it's
yeah,
just
I
so
used to
so
make
fun to
fun of
make
it.
fun of.
I used to make fun of it because I'm like, why don't you just play tennis and run more or do something else? But
Yeah.
dude, it's intense. Like I haven't played many sports that required faster hands than that.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just super like bang. So like for me, it's what I was missing when I retired was like competition, community, improvement, athleticism. So it's given me all those things that I was missing. And yes, I could have probably gotten them somewhere else. But for me, it was like it's just like the perfect mix of it. So I'm really into it now.
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah.
I'm a huge fan of people do some recreation, do something where you have to challenge your brain more. Like
Yeah.
obviously I do a lot of kiteboarding, kite surfing, learn to surf, play tennis, play pickleball. Do something where your brain has to react in movement, ideally with your hands or your feet in a semi predictable environment. You know the ball is coming to you, but you don't know where and when. You can see the wave and you know the wind, but it's not 100% predictable all the time, even in the same
Right.
session.
Yeah. I'm sorry if you hear a vacuum out there.
That's all right. They just decided to mow my grass outside right
Yeah.
now. So
But yeah, man, it's been great. It's so much fun. I meet a bunch of people, getting better at something. Like you said, I've been using my brain much more. Like I'm probably have watched more video than hours played and just read up on it. So like I'm really learning a lot about the strategy and stuff. So it's been like very, very rewarding. It sounds super corny because it's like a funny sport, but it's the fastest growing sport in America. Uh,
yeah.
it's planted seeds in my head for, ooh, could I get into this in some sort of, not a professional player. Obviously, that's like a gift and talent that I probably could never get to. But like maybe getting a group of people and opening up a facility or something, or even coaching beginners. Like I could probably get to that level. So I don't know, man. It's been fun for me.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I also just like making fun of it because you watch, it's almost like the inverse. Like you watch the elite of the elite playing pickleball
Yeah.
and they don't move. They just stand there, wah, 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 like they're
Yep.
swatting mosquitoes or something. And then on one hand, it's incredible to watch the reaction. It's like high level table tennis. It's just like
Right.
it's another universe, but it's so funny that like at the elite level, there's less movement, which I find just interesting.
Yeah, it's a colleague of ours. His name is Marcus Wolford. He's a really good player. You know how they have like ratings and like
Hmm.
tennis and pickleball. He's a 5 point something. He's like, I could play in sandals and a frying pan and beat
Yeah.
most pretty good players. And I'm like, I'm like the maniac running around the court right now. So he's
Yeah.
probably at a level, as are like real professionals, where they can predict where things are going, like how
Hmm.
exactly it's going to happen. So it's just the difference between like beginner and advanced, that it's just like coaching stuff. It's you just don't know what you don't know, and maybe eventually you'll get there.
Yeah. I've often joked or made a comment that elite NFL players who are aging, especially like at a wide receiver, where it's pretty obvious to even people like myself watching the game what's going on and what's not. They're actually getting slower, but a lot of times they can play for quite a while. NHL is the same way
Hmm.
because their prediction and the mental side of the game, they have so many hundreds of thousands of reps
Yep.
of being in the right place at the right time that it looks like they're extremely much more athletic than what they are. Now, obviously, they're extremely athletic. They're really good at what they do, but in comparison to the other freaks on the field, they're actually a little bit slower, but yet and still play so well because of the prediction and knowing where to be all the time.
Right. It's I should not lose to a in any sport to an 85-year-old man. But in pickleball, it can happen. And
Yeah.
people will make fun of that, athletic snobs. But I look at it as, wow, that's amazing that this sport can span. I played with a 15-year-old yesterday. Dude was and his father. They were awesome. And I could play with 85-year-olds. And if they're good, like these games are competitive. So it's not limited to this. You go play basketball, like 85-year-olds are not hanging with someone
Yeah.
young. But these sports, like, so it just has this vast community of all different types of people. And it's just so damn cool.
Yeah. No, that's awesome. As much as I rip on it, I do actually like that people I have a client right now who's just super into pickleball, which is great. And so we're actually
Yep.
he's right at the transition where he's trying to figure out how much time does he want to spend doing it, but he's a little bit older, and so we're trying to figure out what movement things we can, pick up. And I'm like, hey man, if you want to play more pickleball, that's great. We'll do your program however you want. That's
Right.
awesome. He's like, oh, it's just so much fun, and it's a similar thing like kiteboarding. If you're 20 feet up in the air trying to land a jump, like you're not thinking about, oh, did I forget to take the trash out? Some guys like
Yeah.
trying to take your head off. Like you're just reacting and doing. I think a lot of people, that's the only way they can get any sort of mental solace is to put them in a high stress environment. And then hopefully later you can cultivate that in other areas.
So you nailed it. One of the most important parts I forgot to mention was the flow state.
Yeah.
Since like selling the company and hanging up my coaching shoes, like I haven't had many situations where I'm just completely locked in. But in pickleball or any of these sports, you're just completely immersed in what's happening. Like the mindfulness you need and the disconnection from anything else is incredible to experience. And I was like, wow, man, I really missed that. So like with you with kiteboarding, man, I'm sure you're just like, okay, I can't think of other things because and I don't know the
You
sport
eat
that well,
shit
but
is what happens.
yeah, you're gonna float away. Yeah.
Yeah.
But they do it in Bermuda, so you want to go, you say the word.
All right. Yeah. Let me know.
Yeah.
Careful what you wish for.
I'm telling you, man, you can go whenever you want.
Uh, we did
Yeah.
that with a friend who invited us to his wedding in Australia after a night of drinking. And so we're on the plane going to his wedding. Shout out to Luke Lehman and Zoe. And my wife, I made the joking. I said, "Oh, I'm pretty sure Luke invited us to this wedding, but he did have like several glasses of wine beforehand." And she's like, "What? We're flying halfway around the world to go to a wedding. We may not be invited." And they were totally fine with
Yeah.
it, but yeah.
They'll figure where to put you.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, today's formal conversation for about the next 45 minutes here is that what skills do you think coaches now need, especially now and going into the future, is the topic of conversation. So I would start it off with just basically that question and we'll go wherever it goes from there.
Yes, flexibility is such a big one. I think knowing what you know and how that can help someone or harm them is extremely important to remember because I think a lot of coaches like they have their ideals. I think even when I first started, I was very like people need to follow these numbers and if they do it, they're going to be fine. Oh, you can't do it? Yes, you can. Here's how to do it. And
Yeah.
I
Try
think
harder. Come on, try harder.
yeah. And for the there's that delicate balance, I think, between drill sergeant coach and cheerleader coach. I think the
Mm-hmm.
drill sergeant that's just do it is wrong. I think the cheerleader that's, hey, it's okay. Pick yourself up and do better tomorrow. That's also wrong. So I think that middle, the flexibility between the two is so important. I'm such a customer service nerd. I think in general, not picking on coaches or our industry, I think in general, people just really suck at service. And it's like the most basic things. It's like getting back to people quickly, which is their definition of quickly or
Right.
their
Within your boundaries of what you said you would do.
yeah, not necessarily your ideals as a coach of what you think is good because especially when I first got into the field, I had coaches and I was like, man, they're so slow. And it was like 24 to 48 hours. And I'm like, that's maybe that's okay for me, but maybe someone who's like about to bury their face in a bunch of cookies or something might want a quicker response. And I'm not saying coaches have to live with their cell phone in their hand like I did in the early days, because that's probably not healthy or necessary.
Yeah. Because I remember you
I,
back then. It was
yeah,
like an extension of your hand. I was like, dude,
yeah.
you're crazy.
I was crazy. And I think that's like a lot of the story was like I was a lunatic and this is all I wanted to do and all I cared about. And I was just locked in. But that's not good for balance. So, but I think coaches need to identify the boundaries that they think they need versus what they want and what the customer needs and wants. I believe a lot of coaches build coaching businesses with the belief that I'm going to build the business that I want, not build the business that the customer needs. And it's hard because a lot of us get into the field because we're into this stuff and we like to do it. And we can't understand that people are impatient with our responses or they have challenges that we never had because like we're into this and it's an interest. Like if I play pickleball and I say to someone off the street, I'm like, hey, you should really like this sport. They're going to say, well, I just don't like it. And coaches are like, well, you should lifting weights. You should like eating chicken and vegetables. You should going to sleep after an extremely stressful day when you had no time to yourself. That's one of the big things now is like
Oh,
sleep,
yeah.
sleep, sleep. Yes, we all know, right? We knew since we were little children that sleep is so important. But when a coach says, I don't care, go to sleep, which not the literal words, but that's what they say. This person just had an extremely stressful day. They hate their job. Maybe their relationships aren't that great. They want 2 hours to themselves at the end of the night, not to just go to sleep and hit the reset button. So I think coaches just need to be more understanding with all this stuff and more flexible and I guess adaptable with their own boundaries and what the clients need. Because if you're not going to do this stuff, someone else will. And that was the company that I built and sold Stronger You is people were like, I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to do this. And I'm like, okay, we'll do it for less money than you will. And we'll help 50,000 people and explode and have 100 coaches on staff that will do this stuff. So I think coaches in general need to up their game because if they're not going to, someone else will help these people. And it could be templates and apps and AI in the future. And people say the industry isn't saturated, but I think it is to a point. But the good thing is a lot of those coaches that are saturating the market are mediocre in both skill and service. So all you have to do is really give a crap about these people, respond quickly, and have the answers. And it doesn't have to be immediate. Coaches think they need an answer for every single question ever. It's maybe you have colleagues, we're colleagues. Hey, Mike, I got this situation. What you got any suggestions? Like I put myself out there for coaches. You have
Yeah,
a
I had
question
two of
for me.
those on my phone this morning, which is totally fine. And just people
Like,
I know, so that's cool.
yep, hang on, client, or hey, I'm gonna look into this. I'll be right back. And
Yeah.
I have 100 people that I could just reach out to. And that's that. So I don't know. I ranted a while there. Hopefully, I gave you something good.
No, I think that's good. And I would add some color and say that my interpretation of that is not that you have to be a psychopath and live on your phone and get back to people within 30 seconds.
Right,
However, you have to be extremely clear of here is the expectation, here is the boundary, here is what I at the start of the agreement. Here is exactly how I work and here's what it is. So
right,
I had a business coach for a while who I was paying like 3 grand a month. He would get back to me in 24 to 48 hours. And that was the expectation. If it was longer than that, like his assistant would email me and say, hey, he's working on this, he'll get back to you or whatever. Cool. That was fine. It
yeah,
wasn't a big deal because he told me that is the expectation when we started. And that was one of the mistakes I made early on is I didn't tell clients what the expectation was. I thought that if I just get back to people all the time faster, that would be better. And I think in general, yes. The caveat is I hosed up so many of those conversations that I became like their teddy bear and their blanket, and they couldn't go to Target without texting me and calling me to figure out what fish oil to buy. And so I then switched it and said, okay, here's the deal. I'll get back to you in 24 to 48 hours, primarily by email. I don't promise my cell phone to anyone. And then if I feel like the person's going to be responsible, I'll be like, hey, sometimes I do drop off the face of the planet. I'm traveling. Here's my private cell phone. It goes directly to me. I'll get back to you as soon as I can. Yes, I do have my phone turned off at certain times, but if I drop an email, I don't get back to you, please let me know it's not intentional. And
right,
so far, that's worked pretty good because now I feel okay. I have a little bit of space. I don't have to live on email. If somebody needs it urgent, they can text me if they have my cell phone number, but I'm not promising that I'm going to get back to them instantly either. So I think a lot of it goes back to just deliver on what the agreement of service you're doing and be super clear about what it is you're going to deliver and then obviously follow it up and do it.
right. And don't over deliver if you can't, or don't over promise if you can't maintain
Yes.
that, because people get very used to,
That's how I got burned initially.
yeah,
I would drop off for 1 or 2 days and they were like, "Whoa!" And I'm
what's
like, "Oh,
going on?
sorry.
This service sucks.
My
And it's like,
bad."
yeah,
Yep.
it's like money. If you give someone a $5,000 raise and then a couple months later you're like, hey, I have to give you a little bit less. They're like, what are you talking about? So
Yeah.
like, don't give extra if you can't maintain it.
Yeah. And on this topic of communication, do you think there is space to do communication, at least in online training, in different ways? Because it feels like some people I talk to are new coaches feel like, well, I have to do video calls. I have to do weekly calls. I have to give everyone my private cell phone number. Oh, email, that's not personal enough. I need to do an audio note. I need a video note. Again,
Yeah.
my thought is it goes back to what are you promising to deliver again? And there's no right or wrong as long as you're clear on what you're going to do.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think it all depends where you are in your career. Are you starting out? Who is your customer? Are they like super emotional, struggling eaters? Yeah, maybe you want to give them a cell phone because
Yep.
like you really love that connection. If it's like hardcore training, bro, like you could probably do email. They probably don't need a hour-long video call every week. And I talked to Andy Morgan about this a while back.
Yeah.
He mentioned how I think he was trying to do video calls with some people, and he works with a lot of like high level entrepreneurs and stuff. And he's like, these guys just they don't have the time to do a 30
Yeah.
minute, an hour long chat every week. And I think that for even most coaches of general population, people who do struggle, I don't know if they need 30 minutes or an hour long call either. And I don't think that many coaches can build a successful business with offering that much time to each individual, because how do you work it in? How do you scale something like that? And
Yeah.
when I say scale, like I don't mean like we did hire a bunch of coaches. Like, how can you have 30 clients if you're doing a half hour, an hour long call every day or every week? So I think you have to know who your customer is, who you're trying to serve. You could have different packages, different pricing and things like that. I'm a fan of, if you're starting out, you have no clients, you want to make something of yourself in this industry, you probably have to do a lot more and offer more than you think.
Yep.
That
Definitely.
doesn't mean the calls though. You could get so much good quality communication with text messages and an Andrew Coates style voice message.
Yeah, I
Like,
do a lot of
that's
voice
huge.
messaging.
Yeah, or like a quick 30-second video like this, if you're trying to help them. You don't have to do all these videos. So we had some of our coaches like to do videos, some of them just did email, and there was no differentiation in results or customer satisfaction.
Hmm.
So take it for what you will, listeners. You don't have to, like, more isn't necessarily better. Clear communication and connection can be made outside of a long call or a video response. You can type words, you can do a voice memo, and you can be completely fine. And I think one of the problems is no one really knows if their customers are happy with their service because they never ask. So there's a simple way to do it. We used to do these surveys called Start, Stop, Continue. And there was a website where you could do it. I don't know if it exists anymore. You could make a Google form. What should I start doing? What should I stop doing? What should I continue doing? And you can send it to all your people. You're probably going to get some, and do it anonymously and make sure they know that. You might get some hurtful stuff. Like, I was told I need to go to the allergist because I sniffle too much on my live videos. That was funny. I was told I need to go on less vacations. And these vacations were posted on my personal page. So people were
Hmm.
upset that I posted pictures of a beach or a European city here and there. But most of the information was really helpful. It was like, okay, they're reinforcing my belief that I need to be present in my community constantly. I need to work on maybe my tone, right? Maybe I was like a little bit quicker, right? I wasn't using all the skills I learned in, what's the book? How to Win Friends and
Mm.
Influence People, using names and this and that and typing all this extra stuff, like validating feelings. Like, I wasn't always good at that. I would just get to the answer. Here's the answer. Boom. So like, you get this information, you're like, all right, cool. Now I know what I'm good at. Now I know what I need to work on. And I think if you don't do surveys, the only evidence you have is retention and referrals. And that stuff is not always easy to measure. Not all these coaches, and I know we didn't for the longest time, have good tools to measure the actual data, which was funny because we like data with people with their eating, but we didn't have data as a business, which was okay. We got away with it. But if I could do it again, I would probably have much more precise numbers in these aspects.
Yeah, I love the survey part. That's great.
Yeah.
And it is a little tricky when you're doing one-on-one because people may figure out who it is, and some people want to give their name and some people don't. So in our business, we'll have Jody try to call them because she'll be able to get more information out of them. And this is voluntary. They give their name and everything like that. Then if I just talk to them, which is funny because they all know she's going to tell me everything that went on in the call, but there's something about having it be somebody different, and she's just a lot better at that than I am anyway.
Right. Like, we had a customer experience department. So coaches didn't like this. Like, I'll be straight up. Our coaches hated this stuff when a client would complain and say, hey, my coach is doing this. I don't really want to work with them. I don't want to work with someone else. And they're like, that's not fair. We shouldn't let them move coaches. I'm like, do you know, if you were not in a system with a bunch of different coaches, do you know where these people would be going? They would be going to different companies.
Yep.
But within our umbrella, they are staying here. So when they refer people, you may work with those people because for whatever reason, this person isn't a good fit. And one thing I want to add about these surveys is I always claim I never did marketing, but I always had these like tactics in my head where give me surveys, everybody, and we would have thousands, maybe all you need is 10, maybe. You use this as marketing. Look how happy our people are, everybody. Look at how everybody's results are. Look, we changed their relationship with food, where all these people are saying that people who track food are not improving their relationship. I have the data to prove otherwise. These people are not lying to us. So, here, everybody, here's the story. If you're considering working with us, I'm going to make it easy for you because all this information about how awesome we're doing is not coming from my mouth. It's coming from real customers who are just like you. So I think today, in today's day and age, all these businesses have all these high paid people trying to figure out brand and how to sell it and how to use the perfect words, even words that you're not allowed to say and words you are allowed to say. And I'm like, I don't care about any of that crap. Show me happy customers, and I'm going to help them or facilitate them into spreading the message that we're awesome and everybody should be here. Because nobody trusts businesses, they trust customers that are just like them.
Yeah, and I think a part I would add too is the human element to it, that it's a real person, it's a real coach. Like you, so
Yep.
my new thing that bugs me is someone will send me some website for like a new business. It's a pretty small business, like a whatever size. And it bugs me to no end if I can't see any live humans on the website.
Yep.
I just get really suspicious of they may sound good, they may have the best ad copy, it may be professionally done, it has all the widgets, but I'm like, if I can't see like an actual human on the site, I'm like, what the? I just get
You're
this
like, what is this?
impression that it's scammy and slimy.
And you know what else too, in addition to that, is people have no problem bad mouthing businesses, but they do have a problem bad mouthing people. So if your brand or your company is humanized, like Stronger You always was, it was like Mike was synonymous with the company. If they're gonna bad mouth the company, they were bad mouthing me and the staff, and they just never really did that because part of it was like we're humans here. We're not just some company. So just another reason to humanize your brand.
Yeah, and I think people will give you a lot more grace if they truly believe that you may be doing everything wrong, but if they believe you have the best intent of trying to do it, even though they're not getting the result they paid for, I think you can work your way through that aspect.
Yep. And one thing we'll probably out to add to that off each
Yeah,
other's
yeah.
comments here forever, which is super helpful, I think, is people don't, it's, they just, the customers that we're working with, they just want the human connection in these cases. And when we're not giving them that, we're just showing them this like polished business that doesn't look like it needs any help. It looks perfect, but we know it's not. I think it's a fault. I think too many of our colleagues are like, I'm so polished, I'm the best, sign up with me because I'm not going to be vulnerable and tell you I need help. And for us, it was like we had early on, such a crappy website. We had a crappy little spreadsheet. Maybe we were a little disorganized with some of our processes, but people didn't care. They were happy, and I let them know. I'm just some dude that went to community college who got nutrition certifications who wanted to quit my job and help people eat better because I hated what the industry was doing to them. And people were like, yeah, hooray, let's help this guy and his team out. So I think if you're a new coach, even existing coach, like you don't have to seem like you're perfect if you're not, because people don't care to help what's already super successful. They want to help the mom and pop shop.
Yeah, and I think for new trainers, like you can, I don't want to say play up the angle, but you can put out what are your pros and what are your cons, right? So one thing I've gotten better at over the years is, yeah, if you want to know like the infinite details about supplements and all this other weird shit I spent 20 years learning, then I'm
Yep.
probably helpful. If you want the best humanized customer experience with disordered eating and really slick marketing, like I'm not your person at all. And that's okay, right? Like most of my clients are trainers. Most of them like coffee and loud music and similar things that I do, which is done
Right.
on purpose. Not all of them do that, but I just see too many people in the industry trying to be something that they're clearly not.
Right.
And I get why. Like they've been sold this bill of goods that, oh, you have to do this or use this marketing thing or put this on Instagram or, but I think the longer they keep doing that, it feels very disingenuous and people can tell that immediately.
Oh, yeah. Immediately. It's if I'm a, 165-pound dude talking about how to get super jacked in bodybuilding, like you probably shouldn't listen to me.
Yeah.
But if
Yeah.
you're, an everyday person who can't figure out why they can't lose a little bit of weight, oh my God, food detective, I will crack the case. I will show you everything I've ever learned helping all these people and maintaining like a relatively lean, fit physique without hardly trying because I have all these tactics. Like that's what I would always help with. And my best friend, who was our COO, he was like, I think the success of this company was because you weren't some super jacked,
Hmm.
intimidating dude. And I was like, yeah, I'm like a regular fit dude that figured it out and can help people. So you're right, but I think maybe you might have to work with people that you don't necessarily want to work with if you're not that tight.
How do you think stay relatable as people change to become more successful? So one of the things I think about is, so for example, like Joe Rogan. Most people don't have a life that's remotely close to what Joe Rogan does. They're not UFC commentating, they're not doing comedy, they're not doing the number one podcast, they're not making millions of dollars per year. None of those are a knock against him at all. But he has this way of appearing, which everyone I know who knows him agrees that he's just a relatable everyday dude who's just super inquisitive, which he is. And so to me, it's fascinating how, and I don't think it's a shtick. I don't think it's something he's trying to do intentionally, but I just
Mm.
look at these kind of outlier cases or even celebrities or professional athletes, some of them like The Rock, they just appear much more relatable, even though nobody looks like that. No one's that big. No one's done professional wrestling and starred in movies and started their own tequila line and God knows the 800 other things he's done. Does that make
Right.
any sense?
Yeah, and it's something I always think about. And I think one of the things in my case, we created one of America's fastest growing companies, not just in the industry, like in the country. We sold the company and I retired at 40 years old. These stories are out there. I'm sure there's people that hear it and know he's probably a jerk because that's what you hear about, right? These situations happen and they turn you into
You're
a,
such a dickhead.
yeah, right? And I'm sure someone thinks that, which is totally fine. But I like to think that these situations reveal who you truly are. They don't turn you into something. But I think it also takes being very mindful about it, understanding why you want to live a certain way, because it's very easy. I'm sure Joe Rogan, or I'm not on that level in any way, but I could do a lot of crazy things that I just don't do because they're extremely pointless to do. And I think that's one of the weird things about these situations is you realize what's important. If anybody watched my life, they would be like, that dude lives the most boring life on the planet. Like my day to day is like my wife and I, we get the kids up, we feed them, we hang out, we maybe work out, we play pickleball, we maybe put on a movie, we cook dinner, and then we watch TV. And oh, yeah, we'll take trips and stuff like that, but it's not this life. So I think you're relatable because you're doing the same things most people are doing. You're unrelatable if, and this is one thing I always struggle with because I think I have a non-compete, so I can't work in the industry for another, I don't know, I always joke, I know the exact number of days, like 600 something days, right? June 1st, 2026. That includes like formal consulting. But I think about, damn, if I were to become one of these gurus, put on my whole shtick and brand myself as this dude that built this business and did this stuff, I could probably crush it. But that's me putting on an act just to make money that I probably don't really care that much about at that point. So I would rather be who I am, the dude that admittedly didn't know what the hell he was doing when he started. So that's relatable because so many people in our industry are very similar. They're like, I don't like my job. I like fitness. How can I work in this industry? And those
Hmm.
are the people I like to talk to. But I also like to talk to some of the bigger names in the industry who have done things because I have probably seen things that they maybe have not seen or can offer different perspectives. So I don't know. I might play it down a little bit because I'm trying to be more humble about it because I don't think anybody likes. I see some of these people and I'm like, I hate them because they're just bragging, but giving advice as the disguise to brag. So yeah, I struggle with a little bit because I don't want to be looked at as a braggy jerk. But I think if I do talk about the story a little more, it could be helpful for everyone. But I don't know the balance there. I have a tough time with it.
Yeah, I think that's a key point that it reveals who you actually are. Because the other example I think of is John Berardi, who
Mm,
most people know sold Precision Nutrition for a fair amount of money, which is public knowledge. And yeah, just coaches, does some track stuff, hangs out with his family. Like they didn't move to a multi-million dollar house. Like
yep.
he's not really working per se, my little air quotes, but he's doing all the things that he wants to do, and it looks pretty similar to what he was doing before. So, oh, cool.
Yeah, it doesn't change that much. And I think a lot of the, like, I'm in some of these communities where people like retire early or they aspire to retire early with a good chuck and change. And they think it's going to be this lifestyle that just is so unrealistic. Like we were talking before, when I play pickleball, like I'm usually the youngest person because the hours I can play are like typical retired people hours. So like everyone wants this story, but it is lonely because everyone you're cool with is at work. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? So I'm like, cool, I get to hang out with my wife and kids and I could talk to my buddies online and all this stuff. But like in terms of community, like when I sold my company and I left, oof, like it's gone. And that's a part I'm sure Berardi might feel that too, which is why you get in this situation and you have to find that. And that's one of the coolest things about the fitness industry and why I still stay like close with everybody is it's such a cool community. And that's one of the benefits of working in it and doing well is you meet so many awesome people, not just your customers, but your colleagues. And we go to these conferences and we hang out like we're all best buddies and
Oh,
we
yeah.
know so much. Like it's so cool.
Yeah. And I think that's what's fun too. And for myself, I realized that, okay, so I'm probably never gonna like formally retire. You know what I mean?
Yep.
Because initially I started working in the med tech industry. I thought, okay, I hit 65, I want to have enough money saved. And then you realize life events happen, different things. You're like, oh my God, well, a lot of the things I want to do now, what if I can't do them at 65? So am I gonna put off everything for this magical date? And that's when I really figured out, well, if I do my own business, I can design my lifestyle how I want. If it goes good, great. If it goes up in flames, well, that's on me too. But I wanted the ability to trade time and money because if you work for anyone else, those two are generally pretty fixed.
Right.
And I would much rather have the volatility of income going up and down, at least feeling like I have some autonomy over it. And then consequently, hopefully, as you get older, you have more leverage, you have more time in the business, you accumulate more skills, you can then increase the amount of money you're exchanging for time.
Right.
And like you said, you can decide, well, how much do you really need? What do you want to do? Or I felt like if I was working for a company, a lot of those things are fixed, and I'm just putting pause on a lot of things other than my 2 to 6 weeks of vacation until I'm like
Right.
65.
Yeah. And I used to tell people like when I was like knee deep in the business, like every day is Saturday. I just have a lot of things to do. But
Yeah.
I wanted to
Yeah.
do these things.
That's a good way of looking at
Yeah,
it.
every day was Saturday. I swear to God, I used to forget what day it was sometimes. And I do now, but like when I was working, I would be like, is it Thursday? Okay, because it didn't matter. I was still going into my phone and I was a lunatic about it all, but I still traveled. I still did all these things. I wasn't like absent from life, but I just had work was on a cell phone. And that's what a cool career that we can have with this technology and these skill sets we develop that we could talk to people. Doesn't matter if we're across the globe. It's hard to turn it off, but there's a cost to doing business, right? If you want to make a decent living and work when you want and help people, you're probably going to think about it a lot.
Oh yeah. And even if you're not working on it, you're still thinking about it. Because for a while I went through this period where, okay, how do I separate more of my work from my life. And I think to some degree
Yeah.
you need that. But then, like you said, we go to conferences. We went to a Business for Unicorns this past weekend with Mark Fisher and everybody there. And
Yeah.
it was amazing. It was super fun. I'm like, okay, is this fun? Is this
Yeah.
business? Got to see Tony and Lisa, got to see their gym.
Oh, it's
I'm like,
awesome.
oh,
Jeb
it's
and I were
great.
there
Oh, beautiful
last
place.
month. Yeah, so
Yeah,
cool.
so cool. And I'm like, at some point I realized it's just life. And yes, I do
Hmm.
hose up and I'm probably been working a little bit too much lately on some deadlines and everything else. And there was cost definitely associated with that. But on the flip side, I think there's an illusion of balance that you're never going to get. And it's always going to be an active process. And I am working on having periods of time where I'm not working nearly as much, but I know that's going to be after that, then there's going to be a time where you're going to be working more. It's just what you do. And I'm like, if we still get to do the things we want, I still get to train, still get to hang out with friends
Yeah.
compared to what I was doing before in a fixed job, working 48, 80 hours a week, as hard and difficult as this is at times. Oh, I was telling my wife the other day, I think being an Uber driver on my list of if all the shit hits the fan of six different things go seven ways south till Sunday, I think being an Uber driver is higher on my list than going back and work in the med tech space, even though
Yeah.
I could probably walk in and start at $100,000 just because I have experience there, two advanced degrees, etc. I don't want to go back to that lifestyle.
I joke, I think I'm very like financially savvy, but I also feel like I have this built-in defense mechanism to not buy a bunch of stupid stuff because I don't want to blow it and have to get a regular job again. Because
Yeah.
what a blessing it is to get out of that. And to think that most humans have to wake up and do something they don't want to do all day for
Oh,
basically their
vast
entire lives.
majority of people.
And I know it has to happen for the world to operate how it does. So we're very fortunate to work in fields that we love.
Totally.
But the thought of leaving every day to go somewhere and do something that I don't want to do. And I think when you taste the other side, there's no way you can have that again. We're both psychologically unemployable
Oh,
in
I would
shape.
be a horrible employee. Could I do it?
Yep.
Yes. Could I be a monster pain in the ass real fast?
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
And that's probably like when I sold the company and I was working for the buying company, like I was an employee. I was getting direction from people that I was like, I'd rather do it a different way. And it's you now have to adapt to the corporate lifestyle. And it was like I was the corporate lifestyle, which was not my definition of professional. It was what we had to do. And like you got to play office politics and stuff like that. Like when I owned the company, it was like you can just like Mike and I, my COO, we would be in coffee shops and be like, hey, you want to do this? Okay, sounds good. Let's do it. That
Yeah.
was like a 3 week and 4 presentation and 15 meeting situation when you're in a big corporation. So I'm like, it's not for me. Yeah, I'm broken, man. I'm sure
Oh, yeah. And
but
it's
it's good.
at some point you realize you're so broken. So, like the amount of ideas I have now and
Yeah.
backups to the backup. So, I never hopefully have to go back to that position.
Mm.
It gets crazy because there's also this, I don't know if this fear ever goes away that, oh my God, all this stuff's going to happen and there's another pandemic or
Yeah.
there's this fear of this big thing looming at some point. So it feels having all of the backups are just like your own little safety net.
Yeah, but without, right? If you're talking like anxiety, it's we all know from an evolutionary perspective, like it's a helpful thing at times.
Hmm.
And I had that like what I call like healthy paranoia in
Yeah.
business at all times. Like from day one, I was like, this is too good to be true. Like people are just PayPaling me money to talk to me about food.
Yeah.
And I quit my job and my cell phone got all jacked up. For some reason, like I got kicked off the network and I couldn't text message people. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna have to get a job in a week because everyone's gonna be unhappy. Then you hire people and you grow and you're like, again, this good stuff doesn't happen to me. It's gonna end. But all of that was like had me on my guard. I was so attentive to all the little things. And I'm sure I drove so many people that worked with me absolutely nuts. If we ever had a bad comment in a Facebook group about our company, oh man, like I was like, guys, we can't have this. What's going on? And they would be like, Mike, you're a little crazy. And I'm like, But like legit, this is why this happened because I'm
Yeah.
crazy about this stuff. If I was not crazy and attentive to this stuff, it would be normalized and we wouldn't have the referral network that we have. So let me be crazy. Just please serve the people well. So I know not everybody loves me, but that's completely fine because I think after Jeb and I talk about it a lot, like after the stronger you world of these coaches, like when they go off on their own, they have these skills and vast networks that they would have never had. And it's really cool to, it makes me happy to be able to do that for people when like it's so hard to succeed in this business. How many coaches do we know that even 100,000 followers, but 7 clients?
Yeah.
And they're
If
like, how do
that.
I get clients? I'm like, they're like, should I work for a company? Should I go on my own? It's again, pros and cons to all this stuff.
Related to the pros and cons, we got about like 10 minutes or so here because I have a hard stop. With the role of AI being able to create a bunch of stuff now, like the two-part question is one, how do you think that'll change what trainers are actually going to be doing going forward? And then the second part of that is my bias is I think people are going to want to go back to, like we talked about, work with an actual live human. So, like for myself, like I guess more or less doubled down on my newsletter and trying to spend more time writing it, trying to hopefully make it a little bit more entertaining because I don't think AI is going to replace that at any point. And I think people are one, bored to tears at jobs
Mhm.
they hate, and two, I think they're going to want to gravitate more towards back, like we talked about, an actual human that they can relate to.
Yeah, again, I think everything depends on who the customers are. There's
Oh,
plenty of
sure.
people that don't give a crap about a human. They just want, give me the information. And once it becomes a little normalized to have conversations with, just call it a robot, for lack of a better term, more people are going to adopt it. So I think there are going to be a lot of coaches who are worked out of jobs because their potential customers are working with AI bots that I don't know if they're up to speed now with the brain power of someone like you or some other people. I think they can get there. I think people will, the consumer will still have a hard time finding these services. So I think there's a leg up there for coaches. But I think once some of these AI models are just, I don't know the technical terms for all this, so I'll probably butcher it. Just say once they're uploaded with the brains and the content of some of these people, they're going to be just as good and quicker and cheaper. But there are going to be plenty people who just want the human interaction, whether they're missing that somewhere in life or they don't know where else to get it, or they do value it completely from the coach. I guess it doesn't matter. It's the reality that they will want people. But I think a lot of coaches are very wrong in their assessment that it won't take their jobs because it's like my grandma who was like, I don't need to learn the computer. And it's look, grandma, like you, if you were working now and you didn't know like how to create a document, like you're done, you're out. So there's a lot of sayings that, oh, I don't know who came up with it, but it's AI might not take your job, but someone, in this case, a coach or trainer who knows AI will take your job.
Mm.
So I think, and I know Dean Guido is very big on this. He loves Chat GPT.
Yeah.
Like,
He's the
guys,
first one who introduced me to it.
yeah, you need to start messing with it.
I agree
And
with that, actually.
don't judge it by, you could say, create me a 5 day strength and conditioning program to increase my squat, bench, deadlift, and sprint times, blah, blah, blah. It might give you something decent, but if you're a knowledgeable coach, you'll say, oh, that program sucks. See, this AI is stupid. It's okay, don't use it for that, but plug in maybe a difficult situation that you're dealing with a client, and it can talk to you like it's a COO of a company. Like it can talk to you through all, like I use it to help me like facilitate some of my thoughts about a potential business that I could do one day. And I'm like, poke holes in this, do that. So you can do all kinds of stuff. You can have Canva, like AI stuff. You could do so much with it that if you're not using it now and you're a coach, you're gonna get lapped by other coaches. So I think there's a lot of possibilities. I think one, there's gonna be a lot of people who just want humans. So if you don't want AI and you just want to be a human, cool. Like maybe you'll be okay if you find the right customers. And there's going to be a lot of coaches that adopt the AI infrastructure into their coaching. Maybe not answering clients, but hey, AI, I got this situation. What should I do? Like I had someone, I posted about it, maybe it's probably a year and a half now. And someone was like, I just don't think it could answer my question if my boyfriend's, you know, pressuring me to go out for pizza and beers. So I created the hypothetical question, plugged it in, and I was like, and no joke, I was like, this response had more empathy, problem solving, and understanding than most of the coaches I know. It was such a good answer. And that was a year and a half ago. Where is it now? Like I think about that. Could I create that when I come back to the industry? If I come back, I just have to find some tech nerds. But then I feel like a jerk if I'm taking clients from my buddies in the field. But it's who, and I think about this often, I'm like, why did I get into this field? Because I wanted to help people eat better, not because I wanted to keep a bunch of my colleagues happy. Like I love all these people, but like the problem is insanely huge right now.
Oh
The
yeah.
world is getting so unhealthy. And we're not doing a great job. We're doing a good job on an individual level, but you run into a lot of coaches that are like, here's what I think will solve this problem. Education. And I'm like, do you have any idea what's going on upstairs in people's head? Do you know the environment we live in? Do you know how privileged you are to buy your own vegetables? Like the the competition is not necessarily all these other coaches when you're a coach. It's look how damn enjoyable it is to not work out and to watch TV and to eat all these foods. My God, is that enjoyable? Like that's your competition. How do you stop that?
Yeah. And I think in the intermediate, I agree. Coaches should learn AI. Like by all means, do as much as you can with it. It's not something I would say I enjoy using, but I've ever since Dean sent me a quote, he's like, yeah, you got to check out this chat GPT. Is it 3 or something like that? I was like,
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, whatever. And he's, I bet it could write one of your essays you used to do for when you were teaching. I was like, bullshit. But I'm like, let me try it. So I went in there. I took one of the essay questions I had when I was teaching a class a year ago. I put it in there and I read it and I was like, holy shit.
And it
Like
just
it
comes up like instantly. It's insane.
instantly. And the references were wrong. There was definitely huge errors in it.
Yeah.
But if you were not a subject matter expert and I didn't know the subject matter and I was just grading it on how it wrote, like I would have given it like a solid B for just
Yep.
typing in one sentence and waiting like 10 seconds. I was like, oh shit.
Yep. It's extremely impressive. And I think like the grandma example, we're the grandpa and grandma right now. A
Yeah.
lot of people, and it's just this, I'm better than a computer. That computer will never know what I know. And it's, what the hell do you even know? Like everything this thing knows also and is faster than you. And you can teach it to be like, be more empathetic, be more firm, have the personality of this person, that person. Boom. Download all my documents, find my tone, and use my tone. This is what this stuff is capable of. So I don't know, coaches, instead of creating reels for 12 hours a week, maybe learn AI for half that time.
Yeah. And now I have a question where I'll take a certain amount of time per week and I run it through the filter of could I get AI to do this? And I'll set a
Mm.
little like sand timer on my desk for 10 or 15 minutes. And so the other day I was doing some new questionnaires. So you take a validated questionnaire in the research, but I don't have an online tool of using it yet. So
Mhm.
I said, hey, I wonder if AI could create this. So I said, okay, use this survey. Here's the source to use it from. And it wasn't able to do it. But then I was like, okay, can you print out a list of instructions of how I would do it? And sure
Mhm.
enough, it gives you all the questions, grabs the right source, gives all the questions. And so then I took that and sent it to my virtual assistant in India and said,
Yeah.
hey, here's the instructions of how to do this quiz, put it in a Google Doc. And yeah.
Mm.
So normally in the past, that would have taken me quite a while, or I would have to outsource it to someone, or I'd have to generate the video myself of how to do it so they could replicate it in the future. Like now, I literally grabbed the validated survey, spent 5 minutes on AI and was able to outsource even the instructions of how to do it.
Yeah.
So it's crazy.
It's wild. It's so cool right now. And I think it's, people are scared of it and rightfully so. Who knows what the heck can happen? But as of right now, it's like having a bunch of basically free coworkers who might know more than you right by your side.
Yeah.
So,
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for all your time and everything. Really appreciate it. Always good to chat. Where can people find more from you if you want to be found? And I know you've got some stuff still on Instagram and social media here and there.
yeah, thanks, Mike. This is a fun conversation. If I want to be found, you could come to any
Local
no.
pickleball court right around 1 in the afternoon.
Yeah, at Mike Doehla on Instagram. That's where I usually, I go in waves. I'll be like 5 days straight. I'll post some stuff and then I'll be like, I don't feel like typing anything. Here's my kids. So follow me, ask me questions. Like I love answering questions for coaches. I don't know it all, but I've seen some stuff and I'm happy to lend, my ear, my brain or whatever you might need. And I don't,
And
I don't,
you have
I don't
a
consult right
podcast?
now or anything, so I don't charge any money. Just ask me a question on in the messages and I'll get back to you.
And you have a podcast too, correct?
Yeah, Jeb and I have a podcast, The Macro and the Mindset. We do episodes when we feel like it. So
There you go.
keep
When
them
in between
guessing,
pickleball matches.
Yeah, the mystery is appealing for people.
Cool. Awesome. Well, thank you for all the wonderful stuff and sharing all your information. And yeah, you've been super helpful to me over the years too. So it's always
Cool.
nice to have
And
someone
it
who's
goes
been there,
right back
done
to you,
that
Mike. Thank
to
you.
ask questions. So appreciate it, man. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
Thank you so much for listening to the podcast. Really appreciate it. Huge thanks to Mike Doehla for coming on the podcast, checking out all the wonderful things he's got going on in retirement life here. Make sure to check out the podcast he does with my other good friend, Jeb. Some great stuff there. Mike also has some stuff on social media. We'll put links to all of that below. And if you enjoyed this podcast, please forward it to someone or post it up on the old socials. Make sure to tag us so we can say thank you and hit the like button. If you can leave us a short review, that goes a long way into getting the podcast better distribution by helping out the old algorithms there. And thank you so much for listening. We really appreciate it. I'll talk to all of you next week.
Well, they say all good things come to an end.
What's that got to do with this show?
This podcast is for informational purposes only. The podcast is not intended as a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment. You should not use the information on the podcast for diagnosing or treating a health problem or disease or prescribing any medication or other treatment. Always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified health provider before taking any medication or nutritional supplement, and with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition. Never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you have heard on this or any other podcast. Reliance on the podcast is solely at your own risk. Information provided on the podcast does not create a doctor-patient relationship between you and any of the health professionals affiliated with our podcast. Information and statements regarding dietary supplements are not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Opinions of guests are their own, and this podcast does not endorse or accept responsibility for statements made by guests. This podcast does not make any representations or warranties about guest qualifications or credibility. Individuals on this podcast may have a direct or indirect financial interest in products or services referred to therein. If you think you have a medical problem, consult a licensed physician.